In this video, I'm going to explain how a relay works, what a relay is, and why we use relays. So first, let's do this on paper. This is a relay, of course. The relay's job is it's a switch that's turned on electromagnetically. So if we were to draw a circuit, we'll start with a simple circuit. A battery, right? Positive, negative, and we'll ground the negative side of the battery over here. And we'll put a switch in here. So this is a single pole, single throw switch, a light bulb, and a ground. Okay, so it's a very simple circuit. When the switch closes, the light bulb turns on. Not too complicated. So when we use a relay, we want to find a way to automatically close the switch. So we're not physically closing the switch. We're not pressing the switch directly, but we'll use an electromagnet to pull this switch over. And so an electromagnet is when we take a wire and coil it up. So the wire's wound around several times, right? It's a coil of wire. We can take this wire, and when we apply a power and a ground to it, this becomes an electromagnet. So if I bring this up and connect this to the positive side of the battery, bring this down, we'll put a switch on this also so we can control it and ground it. Right? So you can see we've essentially got two separate circuits here. One that turns on the bulb and one that turns on this electromagnet. Right? This is the load in this circuit. If I draw a box around this, I'm sorry it's not a very square box, but if I draw a box around this, we've now got a relay. And that's what a relay is. When this switch here closes, this becomes an electromagnet which pulls this switch over and completes this circuit. So people say, why do we even use relays? Why do we need a relay when it works just fine without that? Well, we do it because a higher current circuit like this, perhaps this light bulb uses 5 amps, for example, and we want to be able to turn it on with a smaller circuit that uses less than 1 amp. So we can have a smaller switch and a smaller contact, a smaller control circuit that turns on a larger circuit. So now let's get this relay and let's take it apart and see what it looks like inside. Got it already kind of taken apart, but we can pull it out. And you'll notice, if you look closely, there's the coil of wire, right? That's the electromagnet. And here's the little switch. You can see it gets pulled over. And if you look really closely, you can see the contacts in there. In this case, this little switch goes back and forth and touches a contact on this end, and it goes in, touches a contact in there. So technically, this relay has 2 contacts, one that we're not using usually, right? It defaults to this contact, and then when the magnet turns on, it pulls it over and touches this contact. So now let's connect this to the battery. So here we've got the battery. We'll connect the red wire to the positive side of the battery, the black wire to the negative side of the battery. Then we'll bring this around and we'll touch this terminal and this terminal on this relay, are the 2 ends of this coil. So we'll place one here and one here. You'll hear it clicking. If we get in even closer, see that every time I touch that, it moves back and forth. It's spring-loaded so that it actually pops back out to this outer contact. Whenever we connect power and ground to the 2 ends of this coil here, you can see that it pulls those contacts over. And that's what completes the circuit to the light bulb or the other, whatever load we're using in the circuit. So now, let's connect this to a light bulb. We've got this light bulb here, and we know that if we connect this to the battery, so I'll connect one side to the ground here, and I'll use this as an extension. I connect the other side to the power, that light bulb obviously would light up, right? And so this can be like a switch right here. As I connect and disconnect this, the light bulb turns off and on. So now when I come over to this relay, I'm going to connect one of these wires here and one of them to this terminal here. So now one of them is connected to this piece in the middle and one's connected to this over here. And when I push the switch over manually, it lights the light. We'll bring our power and ground wires back over here. We're going to connect one more time to these two outer terminals that energize the electromagnet. You'll notice now that when I touch this, the contacts move over, the light lights. That's how a relay works.